High school basketball coach in Louisville is facing rape and other charges in the case of a teenage girl that he coached on a private basis. It's our top story on the WHAS11 night team. Hello, everybody. I'm Doug Proffitt. Clarence Moore at one time worked for Christian Academy of Louisville as well. WHAS11 night team's Taylor Woods is here now detailing the charges and a statement from that school tonight. Taylor?
Well, Doug, no one directly involved in this case would talk about it tonight, but Christian Academy says his employment had ended when these charges were placed. So we turned to a well-known local defense attorney to explain the charges and possible jail time. 42-year-old Clarence Moore, owner of Legacy Training Academy, has been arrested for alleged rape and sexual abuse of a minor, a girl he was coaching with private lessons. An authority figure with charges involving young people. We asked attorney Hans Poppy, who is not involved in this case, to explain what Moore is facing.
No, these are some very, very serious charges. It remains to be seen how this plays out. Obviously guilty or innocent until proven guilty.
He faces charges of 1 count of unlawful transaction with a minor in the first degree, 2 counts of rape in the third degree, 4 counts of sodomy in the third degree, 4 counts of sexual abuse in the first degree, and 4 counts of sexual abuse in the third degree.
If he is convicted of multiple charges, the unlawful transaction with a minor carries a 5 to 10 year sentence. All of the other ones carry less than 5 years.
Documents show the charges are in relation to events that happened between November 7th of 2022 through June 26th of 2023. Moore allegedly engaged in criminal sexual misconduct with a 17-year-old girl he was giving private basketball lessons.
The most serious charge is the unlawful transaction with a minor. That's a Class C felony because she was under 18 years old. That alone carries a 5 to 10 year penalty.
Oldham County Police say Moore is also facing additional charges in Oldham County of rape, sexual abuse, and unlawful transaction with a minor.
If you're 16, you could consent to have sex with a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old, or an 18-year-old, but you can't consent to have sex with a 40-year-old if you're only 16 or 17 years old. And that's why these all become felonies.
He's also a former coach at Christian Academy of Louisville. In a statement, they said, quote, "We have just been notified of a situation that may involve a former Cal assistant coach who has not coached at Cal since the 2021-22 school year. From our understanding, police are investigating more recent events that do not include his period of employment."
If he's convicted of the unlawful transaction charge, that's a minimum of 5, maximum of 10. If he's convicted of more than one of these felonies, then he could serve up to 20.
And also in his career, Moore was once the head coach at Kentucky State University in Frankfort from 2009 to 2011. We did speak with Clarence Moore's attorney tonight, Leland Holbert. He said he was unavailable to provide a statement. In studio, Taylor Woods, WHAS 11 night team on your side.
Taylor, thank you. Well, it is certainly the story out of Bullitt County that probably had you talking about it today, and it is making national news. The FBI arresting James Knott after finding human remains in his Mount Washington apartment. He was allegedly buying and selling them as part of a ring, but also was using them as home decorations, according to investigators. Right now, his only charge is possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, but what charges could be coming in the future? Today, we talked to Larry Wilder, the Southern Indiana lawyer who recently represented families pursuing charges against funeral home director Randy Langford in Jeffersonville. He says just having the body parts is not necessarily a crime in some states, pointing to the recent case against the Harvard morgue manager, accused of selling body parts from donated cadavers.
What they're charged with is no different than if they were buying or selling stolen goods, because the bodies that they were selling, the skin tissue they were selling had been given to, presumably, Harvard University for the purposes of the medical school use. It's not against the law to have or to transport, to possess federally body parts.
To file state charges, Wilder says the Bullitt County Commonwealth's attorney would have to prove that Knott knew the goods were stolen. We did contact that Commonwealth's attorney's office today to ask if they're pursuing any charges, but we have not yet heard back as of news time. New tonight on the night team, who will be the next permanent chief of the Louisville Metro Police Department? If the city's current selection process plays out like it's intended, That'll stay secret until the very end, and that has angered civil rights activists who say they expected a different process from new Mayor Craig Greenberg. But in a new interview about the controversy tonight, the mayor is pushing back. WHAS11 Night Team's Connor Steffen is live right now. And Connor, the mayor told you there's been a lot of public involvement with this already.
Well, so Doug, one of the main things he mentioned was, if you remember that police chief survey that about 1,200 people responded to, he also mentioned countless focus groups. He mentioned those 2 community meetings where input was given, though these are all standard offerings from the firm it's hired on to carry out the process. Still, Greenberg has remained adamant that this is a transparent process. She's the one candidate for Louisville Metro Police Chief we know of for sure, out of 19 applicants. And in January, Interim Police Chief Jacqueline Gwynn Villaruel said this when we asked her if she wanted the job.
And my answer will be yes. I will actually consider the permanent position.
Now, less than a month away from knowing who will fill the position, Villaruel is still the only candidate we know of. That's a fact the NAACP has criticized this week. While promising transparency, Mayor Craig Greenberg, his administration, and the firm it's hired have also promised candidates a confidential process.
I did talk to the search firm about which direction to go, and based in large part on their advice, we're headed in this direction.
Do you feel like there is some...
Let me just be very clear. I think that this process has had a lot of public input. People are reading about some of the allegations that are out there, some of the concerns that have expressed. I think the people of Louisville know that our city government, our LMPD, is more transparent and more open with information than it's ever been before.
I think he's not being true to a campaign commitment. The transparency would be at the forefront of his governing.
Monica Thomas has lived in Louisville her entire life. Sitting at a community policing council meeting, she questions the need for the city's 7-member interview advisory panel to sign non-disclosure agreements.
That type of secret behavior is kind of suspicious to me.
What is the purpose for signing NDAs in this case?
Oh, it's simply just to reflect that we have made a commitment to those who applied for this job to keep their application confidential, and so it's simply just a follow-up of that.
Keeping applicants' information private is the same reason Louisville said it's choosing to maintain a somewhat secretive process. It's in contrast to other cities like Cincinnati and Nashville, which have released a name of finalists and publicly broadcast meetings for the community to ask them questions. In a letter to the Greenberg administration Sunday, the Louisville NAACP called on the city to undergo a similar process, saying this decision, quote, may be the most important one Mayor Greenberg makes during his administration. Do you plan on responding to what they have said?
I don't think this is necessary to get a tit for tat. We are moving forward with the plan that we have. I respect everyone.
So we do know that the Louisville NAACP was invited to a community stakeholders conversation where they could give input on policing. They did not attend, though. We weren't sure how much of that process for hiring the next police chief was concrete by the time that meeting took place. As of right now, Greenberg said the process is going as planned. We do know we are expected to hear of a permanent police chief by the end of the month. We're live here in downtown Louisville. Connor Steffen, the WHAS 11 Night Team, on your side.
Okay, interesting reactions tonight. Thank you very much, Connor. Also, for the first time, Kentucky's governor is responding to a report we brought you on WHAS 11 News last Friday about foster kids sometimes having to stay overnight in a downtown Louisville office building. Some foster children are sleeping in the LNN building in downtown at 9th and Broadway because there is nowhere else for them to go. Social workers are also forced to stay with them overnight. Today, the governor talked about the situation.
Foster parents willing to take the toughest of the tough cases. We need foster parents willing to take older kids, especially teenagers as well. Do I believe it's acceptable? No. Do I believe that our social workers are trying their very best in these situations? Yes.
Governor went on to say that timing plays an important part in all this. If a child is removed from a home at night, it takes time for them to be placed. He said some of the children and teenagers have severe trauma, and that also takes longer to find them a home. Today, Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg announcing spending recommendations for more than $57 million in opioid settlements. $7 million is expected by the end of the year. More than $1.5 million of that money will go directly to harm reduction organizations. They provide resources like Narcan distribution, overdose prevention, and community outreach. The remaining $5.3 million will be for proposals to help stop substance abuse. The money will be awarded to proposals submitted by the public.